everybody, this is Kira, and as you can tell by the thumbnail, name, and the picture that you're currently looking at on the screen, this is a new series I'm calling Inside Look. It's going to be a sub-series of my Let's Talk series, and I don't even know if I'll be continuing this. This is really just kind of a one-shot project that I may develop later. It's just me getting some ideas out. So as you can tell by the picture, it is a video about Boomer. I'm sure many of you who know me or have watched a lot of my videos, you saw this coming. This was a video in the long time making. The truth is, I'm not going to be like over gushing him. I know one of the POTDs that's all I did. But no, this is me doing a look at his character, an in-depth look. That's why it's called Inside Look. So, short story, the reason why I'm doing this video and that I might make it into an actual series with other characters popping in, is that when Fusion Fall Legacy had its dev blog come out with Boomer and Jackie and the Townsville Zoo, I reacted so strongly to Boomer. Like, I attached myself to that character so quickly. As many of you know, on Discord I pretend he's my son and talk about how cute and adorable. I even have, you can see in the commission picture with me and Nano Boomer, I even have him wearing a shirt that says, "My mommy loves me." Obviously, I'm the mommy, and in the story lore, I was the one who made him the shirt and gave it to him. But sometimes I wondered to myself, how did he get so popular with me? How did I become so attached, and how did he skyrocket to the top of my favorites list? Because I have a lot of favorites for Fusion Fall. Jack, Courage, number one, Tom, others I can't name off the top of my head, but for some reason Boomer skyrocketed to the top. And this video is sort of my explanation on why I think he became a favorite so quickly. I can't speak for everyone out there. This is mainly from my point of view. But it is going to be an actual look at his character and his personality. I'm going to try to apply some psychology to it. I don't know how well that turns out, which, that's bad for me because I studied psychology for several years, and here I am trying to do a series, and I don't even know if it'll work. But I should mention that there is no new information that is going to be put in this video. All the information I'm getting comes from Prizzy's lore video and the 2 dev blogs that have to focus on the Townsville Zoo. Everything else will be filled in, or what I can infer from all 3 of those sources. So I'm sorry if you clicked on it and maybe thought, oh, there's going to be even more information. I don't have that. That's not my job. I just monitor the forums and make sure everyone's happy. So with that said, we're going to get underway. I'm going to break it up into 4 sections. I'm going to talk about his role in the show, because we got to start introductions there. His role in the game, why I think why he's become such a favorite, and then actually the 4th one will be a surprise once we get there. I don't think all my shows will follow, or all the episodes will follow this formula. It'll be a case by case with each one, only because not everyone's going to fit the mold so perfectly. Boomer just happens to fit this one the best. It's the best way I can describe it for him. So that's all that is for the start of it. I really do hope I can get this going, but I don't know. We'll see. So let's get started, as I said, with his role in the show. As everyone knows, he is Bubble's counterpart. He's the exact opposite of her, although they do share some similarities. They're not very noticeable, though. They're maybe one or few, but his element is Snips, unlike hers, which is everything nice. And in reality, Snips is not that terrible. It's just gross, so I guess that's his only attribute of, but it's weird because he's so cute. So I don't know. It was just Mojo throwing stuff in there. He causes havoc in Townsville for fun. Him and his brothers. It's shown great when him and Mojo Jojo are having a huge fight about who gets custody over the kids, and they just up and leave. Like, no, we're done. We're out. We don't want to sit here listening to you to argue. We're out of here. We're going to do our own stuff. So we'll see later that wanes, which is an interesting kind of subject. We'll get to that. And the last bit is that he is abused the most in the team. Like, he is the team's punching bag. Brick often hits him when he thinks Boomer has said something stupid. And this will play later on, and we will also get to that when we get to his role in the game. I should mention that I should have waited until Legacy came out so we can get even more characteristics based off of his showing in the game. But I will do a follow-up video to either add or correct myself in this one. But that's a long time away, so yeah, I don't think this video could await. So his role in the game is that he is on the hero side. He is helping the heroes against Fuse. Now, he's not doing it directly. He's kind of doing it indirectly. But he's definitely not hindering the forces. So that's why I put him on the side of the hero. And obviously he wants to be one. He is working with Jackie Cones. The two of them are detectives, sort of hired by Bubbles. Bubbles has him find the animals, and he goes to Jackie and hires him to help him out because he hears he's the best investigator, detective, sleuth, whichever word you want to use. The two of them are found in the Townsville Zoo because it's the Townsville Zoo case, and Boomer dedicates himself to that area. And with Legacy, everyone's secondary characters are also getting a fusion and a nano, but it's still great for Boomer to have a counterpart and a nano, and I will get to those later, but I will make my I can't even say obligatory. No. I have to say Nano Boomer is one of the cutest nanos. Alright, that's my only one you'll get from me. I promise. I think. I don't know. But, so that's his role in the game. And from there, we are now going to discuss what is it about Boomer that's sparked this. Well, for one thing, he's a redemption character. He was a villain that's turning to the side of good. Redemption characters are popular in today's in modern television. I can't think. Let me say that. Let me revise that. It's mostly found in comic books, movies, animated movies, and animated TV shows. I don't know how many adult live-action shows actually have a lot of these redemption characters. I know it's prevalent more in like the animes and the cartoons and the comics and all of those, but sometimes the redemption characters are the fan favorites. One reason for this, and one reason for Boomer, is that everyone makes mistakes. Now, they're not to the same extent that Boomer makes, where, he's a villain going around causing property damage and destroying buildings and terrorizing the citizens. But we make mistakes. We do something wrong, and we realize it's wrong, and we try to make it up. We want to redeem ourselves in the eyes of whoever we wronged. We don't want them to be mad at us. We want to change, or we want to be forgiven and fix it. And this is where I think it starts with Boomer on why he's, even if people don't fangirl over him like I have, they at least like his character. And I think it's for this reason. Now, I can't speak to the people who watched the show and loved him from there. That's something else. That's totally a different character for them that they like. But for Legacy, he is a redemption character. and he represents, one could say it's the black and white morality thing, but it's mostly the gray morality. Because he is redeeming himself, and as Prizzy mentioned in his video, for a long time he had been questioning his place before Fuse invaded. He didn't want to go on anymore. He didn't want to hang out with his brothers and cause havoc. He didn't want to hurt people. He actually wanted to help people. He was watching the Powerpuffs, watching how they helped people and used their powers for good, and he thought he should use his for good, but he didn't know how. So this leads him on the path, and this leads him on the path to being a hero. He wants to be a hero. When he grows up, and alright, hold on, let me back up. Let me start this from the beginning. As a 5-year-old, all he wanted to do was have fun and cause havoc, and that's what he thought was fun. But then he grew up, and he started to actually see outside of himself and the havoc him and his brothers were creating, and he realized that this wasn't for him. And this is an interesting debate of nature versus nurture. For those who don't know, the nature versus nurture debate is a person's personality determined from birth, or is it determined through life? There's cases for either or. Boomer falls into this debate because if you believe that people's personality is from when they're born, then he was born evil, so he should stay evil. That should be his personality. Boomer leans somewhere towards the nurture side. Now, his environment was not nurturing by any stretch of the imagination, because, he's got his 2 brothers who basically abandoned him when they realized that Boomer was not playing a joke and that he wants to help people. He became a goody two-shoes. But he watched the Powerpuff Girls. So they became his role models, and through them, it was the nurturing. He saw what they were doing and wanted to be a hero. And there's something to it that he's already on the path. Like, I don't know exactly how long he's been trying to change himself. I know from Fuse's invasion, he gets involved in the war effort and is in Townsville Zoo. But when did he actually stop causing havoc and start watching the girls and wanting to be a good guy? It must have been a while, because his whole personality changed. Prizzy mentioned that because he was constantly abused and belittled, he has no self-esteem, which is not uncommon for a lot of heroes. Some of the more popular ones, or the more well-known ones, they don't have a low self-esteem. They just, have dark moments and have their doubts, but everybody has that. Boomer knows he has a long way to go, which makes him the underdog, because he's a rowdy rough. And if the Powerpuff Girls are famous, then he as a rowdy rough has to be infamous. I mean, he just has to. Him and his brothers have the same power level, if not just lower, than the Powerpuffs, who are considered who are the female child versions of Superman. I mean, look at their power list. It's all Superman's powers just spread out among them. So I'm getting myself worked up. I almost lost myself for a moment. But anyway, so he's wanted to change himself and be the good guy, but for him it's going to be hard because he has a lot going for him. His past is still behind him. He's still Boomer of the Rowdy Roughs, and that's a problem. But we know that his personality has changed from that childlike arrogance, and he's now realized there's more than him. He's definitely becoming kinder. Jackie even mentions in the dev blog that Boomer's a good kid. He's a terrible detective, but he's a good kid. And that has to show you on a physical appearance. That just physically and appearance-wise, Jackie already determined he's a good kid. Now, maybe this is also because they've been working together in the dev blog, so he's got that going for him. But considering how he's a rowdy rough and he would have that carrying with him, the fact that he's changing it so that he can distance himself from that old image. And what I really like about it is that, and with a lot of the underdog stories, is that he's sticking to his guns and he's not going to give up. He's trying his hardest to be good. When he was abandoned by his family, he wanted to start his path of being the hero, and he went to the professor because the professor was the only person he could think of for this. And I'm really happy the professor didn't turn him away. He saw this child and it was like, yeah, let me help you. We'll talk about that later. That's part of the surprise. And then he goes and sees Bubbles, and yeah, he chickened out a little bit, but I mean, he's a teenage boy. All right? How many teenage boys can actually go up and talk to a teenage girl, and you're not Ben Tennyson? Because I gotta stop before I start that train of thought, but Ben has the self-esteem that Boomer needs. Because Boomer's is shot, he doesn't think very highly of himself, but he still wants to do it. And this is where Bubbles is an important player in his life, because Bubbles gives him that self-esteem. I don't think she really forgives him, but she's willing to give him a second chance, which is what Boomer needs, which fits in line with what I've been saying of the redemption character and the underdog. But he's got a lot going against him because we've only seen 3 interactions with him. 3 characters and their interactions with him. We don't know the rest. We don't know what everyone's going to think of him, but if we can guess, not a lot of them are going to approve of Boomer, and they're going to be suspicious of him. They're not going to appreciate him, and all of this, his changing personality from the arrogant 5-year-old to a more thoughtful and observant kid. And Prissy even mentioned that when he grew up, he kept constantly asking questions. He wandered. He was trying to figure out his place. So that shows he's at least smarter than Brick and Butch. He's not the smartest, like in comparison to Blossom, but he's definitely up there, and that's going to be fun. I think another reason I've taken to Boomer especially, but maybe others has, is that he has a lot of potential as a character and a story. And that's the surprise we're going to be talking about, his potential. The first one is his growth as a character and a personality. Like I just said, he was a 5-year-old arrogant kid. That's what most of us remember him as. And he's now grown up into a teenager that's quiet. He's in the background. He's dedicated to his job because he's working the Townsville Zoo case, and he's willing to do it. And he wants to do it. He wants to do it for Bubbles. He wants to do it for himself too, to prove that he's a hero to the others, that, hey, he's a team player, he'll help out. But he wants to do this to Bubbles, who was one of the first to give him a second chance, who was willing to overlook his past and to let him prove himself. And so this growth is his character, because his self-esteem is pretty low. He doesn't think very highly of himself. He's nervous. A lot of the times, a lot of the concept art and pictures we see of him is that he's closed in on himself. The only time we've really seen him annoyed was when he was with Jackie. And Jackie is a great character to pair up with him. So we'll skip into our next topic of it, which is his relationships with people. Jackie is very self-assured. He is so self-assured of himself. Jackie's arrogant. Like, not super terribly arrogant, because he does want to help out and everything. But he's definitely arrogant. He's like a Tony Stark kind of arrogant, I guess. Just, he doesn't have the money and knowledge to back that up. But he fits well with Boomer because he can help Boomer bring his self-esteem back up. He can help him build that resilience and everything. Because Jackie's just has no nonsense policy, and that'll definitely help out with Boomer. Like we see when they find the blowfish, Boomer's got kind of an attitude. He's like, I don't know what this is, and I guess we'll have it. He definitely goes back into his more reserved, shy personality when it's with Bubbles, as we saw back at Townsville Zoo, or not Zoo, the Townsville City Hall. He was very shy, especially when he was pushed up front. So going back to his growth, and we're going to be talking about both of them at the same time, this can help him. We can see him go from a shy, not really scared, but just, very insecure teenager into a more self-assured team player. And I'm not saying he wasn't a team player. I just need a better word. I don't want to repeat teenager twice. I'm repeating it a lot. I want to try to stop that. I would also like to see his relationship more with the professor. I think the professor will also help him grow up, because then he has a father figure to model after and aspire to be. And that's very important. His mind, I'm blanking on him, but in psychoanalysis, usually the boys will model themselves after their fathers and the girls will model themselves after their mothers, because that is who they want to aspire to be. So Mojo, if he's not going to be the father for Boomer, then Professor Utonium would be the best choice, because he is caring, and the fact that he didn't turn Boomer away, unlike Bubbles, who was more reserved. The professor looked at the kid and realized he was just a little kid that needed help and helped him out. So those are his 3 relationships we know of. We'll definitely have to see if Blossom has anything to say, because I feel she'd be one of the most vocal about not letting him on the team or not letting him help out. But then again, the girls have usually been very good with Mojo, so it's possible that she'll be upset at first, but then she'll mellow out pretty quickly. What I really hope is that he gets more connections than just those 3, and because then his connections will help him grow, because then he'll start interacting with people, and that interaction will help his personality morph into something more. It'll be so much fun for that. That's where his potential is. And his last one is his story arc. So this sounds like his growth, but the growth was more about his personality itself, while this is a story arc about his whole story arc. I definitely hope that the end of his story arc... Well, what I'm hoping is that there's going to be something with the fusion, because almost all the fusion missions have something to do with, we're mistaken for the double part. And that would be interesting, as if people did mistake Fusion Boomer for Boomer, and all his hard work is suddenly reversed and crashed, and that's what he has to constantly fight against, especially if the fusion is not going to be in a lair. If he's going to be wandering outside, that makes it even worse for Boomer, because now it's not like, the fusion's in an isolated area. No, it's running around. People see it. That could definitely help him. That can help him against being an underdog again. Like, he's trying his best, and then there's a fusion that blows it all up in his face. I would like to see that be part of the story arc, but I want it to end with him confronting his brothers, because he's never done it. Even when Fuse invaded, he just told them, hey, let's help out, and then they laughed at him and left. So it'd be nice if either the brothers come out and torment him and he stands up for himself, or the brothers come and harasses the player and he steps up and says, don't you bother my friend. Which, okay, I forgot to mention his relationships. I hope the player gets to interact with Boomer and help him achieve his self-esteem as well. So that'd be great if we were Boomer's friend. I hope that's how it goes. But I would love to see something with him and his brothers, and a conflict comes out of it, and Boomer beats them and solidifies that he's a good guy now. He's not going to follow in their path, and he's not going to be bullied by them. So that's his potential for a story arc. And let me do a recap, because I know I kind of hopped all over the place. But when it comes to Boomer, everything hops around because there's so much we can do with him, and so much that has been done. And honestly, I kind of skipped over it. But I think the biggest thing Boomer has going for him in terms of why people like him is that he is relatable. Going back to the previous talk of him being the redemption character, and him wanting to be a hero, and him being the underdog, Boomer is relatable because at some point people can identify with him. With the redemption hero, whether you did something bad, either really bad or really small, you did something bad and you wanted to make it up. Maybe someone was really mad at you at a mistake you did for days or weeks or months, and you worked your hardest to fix it and mend that relationship. People want to be a hero. I mean, look at comic books. Look at the movies. Marvel is making so much money based off of it. And all the promotions of children in hospitals being visited by heroes, and just how elated they are and happy. A story I remember reading was that janitors dressed up in superhero costumes just to make the kids happier. Everybody wants to be a hero. Even though some of us find it more fun to be a villain, at the core of it, all of us want to be a hero. All of us either want to be good or just save someone, or even save ourselves. And this is where I think he's relatable there. The underdog, maybe you were picked on as a kid. Maybe you didn't have a lot of friends, or no one believed in you. And that's the situation Boomer's in. Not a lot of people are on his side. We only know of 3 characters. 3 characters that we know of that are on his side. 2 of them for sure. One of them is kind of paid because, they're working as partners. I hope that changes. And you know what? His potential. I've been talking about his potential for the game itself, but just think of what he can do. If 3 Powerpuffs with the powers of Superman are on their side, what would a fourth superpowered hero like them, that would help out so much. He has so much potential, not just as a story or as a character arc, but just as a person for themselves. So this is why I think he's the biggest thing, is at some point we can all relate to him. Maybe not to his full extent, maybe not to all of these, but just at some point we can relate. And I think that's what Boomer has going for him. I think that's what makes a good character in general, is when you can relate to them. And Boomer has it, and I honestly can't wait to see more of him in Legacy and just follow his story, and I'm going to be rooting for him the entire time. So, again, sorry for jumping all over the place with this. I swear I had it better written down and categorized, but that kind of fell through. Thank you so much for watching this. I feel bad that I don't tell you guys enough that I'm really grateful for everyone who watches this and goes through this, or listens to me try to get my thoughts together. But I really do appreciate it. It means a lot. I'm not trying to be the best YouTuber there is out there, but I just want to get content out there and share it with people, because I hope that maybe they can relate to these videos, or just have something in common. And my ultimate goal is to get people talking. I want to talk to people about this. I mean, I'm not going to stop talking about Boomer. Eventually I'm going to get someone to talk more with me about him. But I wanted to start off this video with Boomer because I do like him a lot. I know I play it up for laughs. I'm like, oh, I'm his mother and he's so cute, but he really is an important character to me, and I'm really thankful to the devs for writing him and making him the way he is, because they could have just made him his regular, aggressive, destructive kid, and instead they made a very complex and deep-leveled character. So, getting all emotional here about this character, that's what happens when you have a good character and you get emotional over it. So this is the start of Inside Look. I almost forgot it again. Like I said, I hope I can do more. I'll try. I really will. I'll try. If you guys have any suggestions on characters I should do, let me know, because that would really help me out a lot. But yeah, this is going to be it for me. I thank you guys again for sitting with me and listening and just letting me take up your time to talk about one of my all-time favorite characters for Legacy. So thank you guys, and I will catch you guys all later. Okay? Bye-bye.